Hi positive readers, it's Positive Writer. Today was another video, and today I'm coming at you where in this video I am going to be reading the entire first chapter of my book Ichikan. So if you were here yesterday, I posted a video about the book and a little bit about it. You can kind of get this like really vague summary almost of like the first chapters, and then the inciting incident, really just to get you interested in the book, like to get you excited to read it. And I talked about the genre, and I talked about a little bit about the characters and stuff. And today I'm bringing you an actual chapter reading. This is only the first chapter. It's one of my favorite first chapters I've ever read, even though I also wrote it, just because of, I mean, you'll see. You'll see. And so today I'm going to be reading it. It's not going to be in a super dramatic voice, but I'm going to kind of approach it like an audiobook. Fun fact, my sister is actually the appointed person for the audiobook right now. Like, I don't have an audiobook right now, but when I do, my sister is the one that's going to be doing that because she literally just took it and ran with it. When we were reading it one time, she just started to talk as the main character. She started to narrate, and I was like, yo, this is kind of cool. And so, get ready for that at some point. But, as of right now, you're going to get my voice reading it. And so, snuggle in, get ready. So without further ado, here is chapter 1 of Ichikan by me, Ben Wasserkoff. The sun scorched my dark chocolate skin as I clutched my level 1 glow sword with my right hand. Glow swords were what we used for battle and training. Most societies used guns, but the 3 cities that I grew up learning about, including our own Navajo city-state, decided a long time ago that swords were a more practical weapon. I personally don't agree with this decision, given the fact that you can shoot someone from a long distance depending on what kind of gun you have, up close to somebody to even injure them with a sword, let alone kill them. But who am I to say something? I practiced my swings over and over again, just to pass the time until Kimiko got there and helped me. Kimiko was my best friend, my partner, my mentor, and a lot of other things I'm sure she would forgive me for forgetting. We were the same age, 17, and we did almost everything together. She was always helping me, and I was always helping her. As I sat down to the rest for the first time since I had arrived at Kimiko's house, the gold fence door opened, and in walked Kimiko. She was dressed in a gold tank top with straps for sleeves, yellow jeans, and black combat boots. Her hair was pulled back into a low ponytail like mine. "How have you been?" she asked as she sat her sword bag down on one of the benches. She reached into it and brought out her level 2 glow sword. "Fine, nothing better, nothing worse," I shrugged. My life wasn't very exciting. Training with Kimiko had to be the most adventurous thing I'd ever done, and we trained in her backyard. "So, in the middle?" Kimiko looked up from examining her glow sword, and smiled at me. The sun's light reflected on her amber eyes. I nodded slowly and stood up from my slouched position. Kimiko once told me that slouching would not make you a better fighter, but when I'm tired, I forget about that entirely. She walked towards me, sword in hand, and ready to start training. "Just follow along." She gave me one last glance before focusing on her sword, bringing it back and thrusting it forward. I could almost see the air we breathed being pierced, or maybe that was just my imagination. "Now you try, Aurora," she said as she could read my thoughts. I picked up my glow sword. "Don't you fail me," I whispered to it while swinging it everywhere to imitate Kimiko. I could feel the sweat running down my face, then to my back and onto the ground. At first it was hard, but with every thrust, I grew more and more accustomed to it, and soon it was over, and I was ready to ask why there wasn't more. "How did I do?" I asked, curious. "You learn fast," Kimiko said. I grinned at her, then shot up and slapped my sword in her direction. She sprung into action. Kimiko grabbed her sword off the wooden bench and sliced it back at me. I raised my eyebrow and gave her an evil grin, then I lowered my body and started slicing towards her legs. When she realized what I was doing, she quickly moved back and sliced toward my head. I was getting ready to say something, but I was stopped by an angry stomping sound that was coming our way. "What are you girls doing? Trying to kill each other?" Kimiko's mom, Alyssa Keno, asked. We stopped what we were doing and laughed in her face. "What is so funny?" Her face was turning redder than I had ever seen it before. "We were just trying to test our skills, Mom," Kimiko sniggered. "Well, it's time for dinner," she said. "I gotta go, Aurora. See you later," Kimiko said. "See you later." I walked home with my head hung low. Why do parents mess everything up? I asked myself as I walked up the stairs to my porch. I extended my arm out to the front door. I extended my arm out to open the door, but before I could touch the knob, the door flew open. My mom was standing there with a scared look on her face. She had amber eyes, dark tan skin, and dark frosted brown hair that was in a tousled blonde. She was dressed in a yellow long-sleeve t-shirt with black skinny jeans and worn brown sneakers. "Come in. You need to see something." I frowned. Her voice sounded frantic. The second I was sure that I was inside of my house, I closed the door back and walked into the living room. There was a video being displayed on the wall. It looked like it came from a projector, but we didn't own one, so how did it get on our wall? My thoughts were interrupted by Queen Jakira's voice. Hello, citizens of Navajo City State. I would like to make an announcement that would probably only benefit half of the population, she began. I glanced anxiously at my mom. By the end of this year, I plan to have carried out an experiment I have wanted to try out since I was a little girl. Queen Jakira was a tyrant who pretty much ran Navajo City State. She decided what came in, what went out, and everything in between. She has an army of people called the Hatsumis following blindly behind her. They're almost as ruthless as she is, only they don't have the power that she does. My favorite part of the experiment is to deprive everyone living here the privilege of having electricity. She smirked into whatever machine was projecting her head onto our wall. The next part is a bit more disappointing than the last. I intend to warp everyone's minds into feeling hate for everyone they come in contact with, whether you love them or not. Those words sent a chill down my spine. Whether you love them or not. That means if she were to carry out her experiment, I'd betray my family, the people I lived with my whole life. I couldn't say anything. I could only think about how the world would be without light and without goodness. This had to stop, and I was determined to be the one to stop it. Ooh, that's the chapter. That is the first chapter of Ichikan. It's kind of crazy, but honestly, again, it's one of my favorite first chapters I've ever read in my life because I love it when a book starts right off and like gives me exactly what I want, which is the stuff, which is like the juice, the adventure, you know. And so that is the first chapter of Ichikan. Tell me what you thought about it. What did you think about Aurora's character? Like, how do you feel about her? Just from this one chapter, what do you think about Queen Jakira? What do you think about her friend Kimiko and her parents? How do you think her parents are going to react to this crazy news? You know, like, just tell me what you think, you know, talk it up in the comments. I will definitely be there to talk it up with you all. No spoilers, obviously. But, like I said, I was reading this on Kindle, and I just, you know, can pull it up on here because it is free on Kindle for the next 5 days, now 4, and so get it while you can. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's always free, and so you don't have to, like, rush. But for those of you who don't have it, which I don't even have it, definitely get that while it's free because it's worth it, trust me. It's a really good book, and you're going to enjoy it thoroughly. Love y'all.